Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah!
We got it! We got it!
New 52 booklet.
Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Under Two Capes. I'm Jared. I'm here with Taladia Plays. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm excited to talk about another DC topic.
Yeah, so we're talking about... So last week we talked about why Superman struggled at the box office. And first off, that video did great. Thank you all. I figured, what's the other character that doesn't sell well? And I'm like, well, Wonder Woman. Unjustifiably, because the character's a delight. But we want to theorize as to why, which is... It's a very interesting, topic. So... This kind of spun from my recent interview with Sam Liu when he came on to talk about another of his movies, where he said that, so he was talking about in the early DeCamu days when they were making Wonder Woman Bloodlines and such. And they said that, the reason why that you don't get that many Wonder Woman, you don't get a Wonder Woman animated series or what's the word? Or
movies.
Yeah, or movies is because, according to the general audience, she doesn't have that many recognizable stories or villains. Obviously, as comic book fans, we know different. But in terms of a general perception from a studio head who greenlights all this stuff, or the general audience, she doesn't. I mean, in her movies, she fought Ares, the god of war, and that's an enemy for any type of ancient Greek stuff.
Yes.
Then it was Cheetah / not a Wonder Woman villain, Maxwell Lord.
Maxwell Lord, yeah.
So I'm like, that didn't really work there. So
it's
where there's any number of villains they could have used, but they chose not to. And that's my problem with DC, is that when they say, well, she doesn't have recognizable villains. She does, you just don't use them.
Exactly. There is various villains. I can name a few off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Giganta
would be a good one.
Cersei
would be a great one.
Right? Who else?
Dr. Cyber.
Dr. Psycho.
Dr. Psycho, that works too. Silver Swan.
Yeah.
There's so many characters that you could use. And it does, and it's so many characters that would work well for a Wonder Woman story. But for some reason, they just don't want to invest in it. And I think it's just, I don't think it's because because she's a woman or anything like that. I really don't. I just think it's because it's let me put it this way. If we were in a post Wonder Woman 2017 world, then I would say it's likely we're going to get all that stuff. But we're operating in a post 1984 mind frame, they're not going to that movie did arguably some of the most egregious character assassination onto Wonder Woman in the eyes of the general public, that it undid a ton of the good PR that the character had.
Yes.
But so the way I'm going to do this, the way I'm going to structure this is let's go through Wonder Woman's movies and appearances and stuff and discuss them first. Then we'll talk about how we saw them, kind of like how we did in the last one. So
okay,
let's start with Justice League DCAU. My problem with that is that they turned her into a clone of Hawkman, and their excuse was, oh, her father's Hades.
That's a dumb excuse. I'm sorry, right? You could have done a Wonder Woman animated series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So before the events of Justice League, the DCAU, right? And it would have sold. It would have sold well because it would got the audience to know who Wonder Woman is, and you got to see her origin, so to say, right? And her growing up and all of that stuff, and her because isn't it weird that the DCAU didn't have Steve Trevor?
No,
In,
they did.
no,
He
but
was
no,
he was in that World War II episode.
no, but no, no. What I mean is that a modern day Steve Trevor.
Oh, yeah. You know why? I think this is the one time I'm going to agree with Bruce Timm and Alan Burnett. I always agree with Paul Dini, but Jared's agreeing with the DCAU? Shocker. Probably because they realize that Steve Trevor is redundant and irrelevant to Wonder Woman. Once he gets her off the island, his usefulness is at an end. That's it. He's done. That's why they kept him in World War II, where when you had him in the DC AMU, let's go on to that. That's when you start going, like he starts getting into the new 52 stalkery territory right there. And I'm like, you suck, dude. Just stop. Just stop.
Yeah. And it's like, at least, the difference between the DCAU and the camera, at least the DCAU knew the objective, making Steve Trevor obsolete, making him not relevant, right?
Yeah.
The Camera didn't do that.
Well, they did, but then they brought again. Remember, in the beginning they did because they had Wonder Woman with Superman. Then they broke them off screen. And Jay Heat, if you're watching this, no, I'm never gonna let that go. I know you're saying that right now, but they broke him up off screen and then decided shunt Wonder Woman to Steve Trevor. That's it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. I get, so going to Bloodlines, I get what they were going to do. I get what they were trying to do with Bloodlines because they were trying to give Wonder Woman her Hush moment. Because what Hush did for Batman, I'm talking about the comic book storyline, is it showcased so many of Batman's rogues that you got exposure to all of Batman's rogues gallery. So you got to see who Killer Croc is, who Poison Ivy is. That's part of what you need for Wonder Woman, is that you need a storyline that showcases her world. The problem is they hit it in a crappy, it wasn't a crappy movie. It was a deeply flawed movie. Let me put it to you that way.
Agreed.
Because it's a lot of what they did. I'm just like, okay. And by the way, I will have Sam Liu on to talk about Wonder Woman Bloodlines because he directed that one. That would be kind of cool to pick his brain specifically about that. So we have that. Then we have, like, obviously we're going to briefly go over a few more appearances because obviously this is not an episode of Legacy where I normally go 3 hours. This is like a 45-minute max podcast. So let's speed through this.
Yeah.
Linda Carter, I liked. I just started to watch through my first watch through, as a matter of fact, of the original show, and it's actually pretty fun. They actually have, like, you know how in like comics how they have those little caption boxes that say in Washington D.C. They put that on the screen, so it's like you're watching a comic book. It's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's cool for the 70s, but for the modern
in
day,
the 70s. Remember that this is the 70s.
Yes. And by the way, yeah, she is wearing a granny pants in the 70s.
Britt said that too on Super Wonder Legacy. I started laughing because I remembered the clip you and I made to mess with Jay Heat.
Oh my God.
So continuing on. So you had that, and that was the first initial push that brought her into the mainstream of like public consciousness, was that show. But then she kind of fell out because there wasn't a lot going on for Wonder Woman, and DC did not want to invest in her. Then you had a little known movie called Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, where they announced that Gal Gadot was going to play Wonder Woman. And again, I say this every podcast I mention the show. My one problem with it, I wish they didn't spoil that Wonder Woman was in the movie. If they didn't, can you imagine the reveal? Like, even when Batman has like all those screens and he's watching Wonder Woman's various appearances throughout time, and you see like the Wonder Woman picture, and all of a sudden the Wonder Woman theme starts playing, and then she's walking off the plane, and they go, Miss Prince. Can you imagine us in the comic book world are gonna be like, did they just say Miss Prince? And then she drops down and so
I can just see the reaction. Like, well, somebody that I know, his reaction when Doomsday first appeared in that movie, he was like, "Oh my God, it's Doomsday!" and he jumped up and down like crazy.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what did you think of Gal Gadot's appearance in BVS as our good friend Wonder Woman?
What a first appearance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, in terms of a movie representation, it's pretty epic. Pretty epic entrance in terms of in a costume, and definitely felt like she is a bad. I don't want to swear in your stream.
You can say, don't worry, I know the word you want to use. You can use that word.
Okay, she's pretty badass.
Yeah, she is. There you go. And I like how like the costume looked like armor. And this is a contention in the Wonder Woman fan base is that they want her to also, and now they want James Gunn to put her in like the bathing suit outfit. But I'm like, that's not going to translate well for live action movies.
What, they want to put her in a thong?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, and these are the people promoting feminism. But anyway, continuing on. Then you get her own movie, which this had a lot of pressure on it because remember the last female superhero movie that came out was Catwoman, and we all know how that turned out.
Oh, why'd you have to remind me for that?
We recently reviewed that movie on movie night, so we know how much of a crappy movie that one is. But
I'll never forgive you for that.
So then we get so we walk into the movie. And I was very surprised at how awesome the Wonder Woman movie is. Like, they destroyed in terms of how good it is. What do you think, Taladia?
Like, the Wonder Woman movie was brilliant, out of this world, right? Because, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it was out of this world because the fact is, it just brought people together, right? And it was like, A, it got represented well. B, Wonder Woman's theme was actually like epic score.
Yes.
And Steve Trevor was used as a waste of space as always. Which makes me happy.
He always is a waste of space. But so then we get Zack Snyder's Justice League. Yes, I'm ignoring that other cut of Justice League because it doesn't exist. So then we get Zack Snyder's Justice League, which just continued the BVS and the Wonder Woman stuff, where it's like she's a badass warrior. I love the line when Steppenwolf goes, "This one is mine," and the Wonder Woman goes, "I belong to no one," and then she just starts destroying him. And it's like whenever he did anything, the music whenever Wonder Woman would do anything, the music would play and go, you'd all of a sudden hear like ancient Greek people singing. So and according to Junkie XL, he said he wanted to be like more of like an ancient warrior theme. So that's kind of what that went with.
Yeah, but I just sent you something. It's really cool. You might be able to interview.
Yeah, I saw that. I know he's gonna be there. But anyway. But so what did you think of Wonder Woman in the best superhero movie of all time?
Epic. One word, epic, right? Nothing can beat that, right? And no other female superhero movie has topped that Wonder Woman movie by.
Nope, they tried to with Birds of Prey and it flopped hard. By the way, the writer for Birds of Prey is writing for James Gunn's DCU right now. We're all good.
So
yeah, but so those are and then we had like her brief appearances in like Shazam 2 and The Flash, and they were okay. It wasn't anything I'd rather write home about. They tried to turn Wonder Woman into Iron Man, where he was showing up in all these
different movies.
Yeah, which it kind of got annoying because arguably she should have been involved in Shazam. The Shazam 2 should have been a Wonder Woman Shazam team up movie because it's involving the gods.
The Greek gods, yeah.
And it's just like the Flash. I mean, the Black Adam should have been Black Adam versus Superman. But anyway, ignoring that. So you got those appearances, and yeah, that was fine. But really, if I, now I oh yeah, actually we forgot one. Wonder Woman 1984.
But we don't
We have to talk about that because it was
we don't
a solo
acknowledge
movie.
that one.
Yes, we do. We have to talk about it. So, okay, I was excited going into 1984 because I was like, okay, cool, same creative team from what we knew at the time. So, in 1984, going into it, I wanted to like it. In fact, you know what's kind of funny? When I first saw it a few times, I had the nostalgia, the comic book fan goggles on, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's actually pretty good. Then I started watching it a few more times, and then the cracks started to show. Like, okay, so they use Cheetah. So, okay, they're using another Wonder Woman villain. Then they just use a caricature of Maxwell Lord because they want to make a Donald Trump joke. Yes, I'll say that because guess what? That's what they said they were doing. And I'm like, that's not Maxwell Lord, though. He's supposed to mind control people. And then you don't even have Wonder Woman kill him. That's kind of what Wonder Woman and Maxwell Lord is known for. And it's just, they waste the golden armor. There's so much of that movie that is just absolutely wasted. But Taladia, what do you think of Wonder Woman 1984?
Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Disaster.
Continue.
Because the fact is, it was like they made Wonder Woman weak, very weak, and I'm just like, why? And then they made it into a meme. Was like, life can be good, but it can only get better. And
yeah,
that became a meme.
It's because they wanted to like tie Steve Trevor in there. Why was Steve Trevor brought back to life?
That didn't make sense. I was like, why bring Steve Trevor back? That didn't make any sense at all.
Well, the funny part is that when you also factor in that the guy whose body that was occupied, she had sex with that guy, technically. And then it finds out that guy may have been LGBT. So that doesn't look good at all.
No, it does not look good. That's why they got kicked out of the international group after that film, I believe.
Yeah. So the thing about this is, so watching Wonder Woman, it's like Wonder Woman 2. It's like, I like this one. I wanted to like it. Some stuff that I did like, I liked their rendition of the golden armor. That was really cool. I appreciated that. And I enjoyed like some of the action scenes. I didn't like the mall scene, but I liked like the final battle scene and stuff. I didn't like how they made Cheetah like a furry.
Yeah, bringing her as a furry is not good. Wasn't a good idea.
That's why, again, that's why DC is now. I got news for you, people. DC is never going to put Barbara with Wonder Woman in a romantic sense because they don't want their top female character in a relationship with what amounts to a furry that has murdered people. They're not going to do it. So
nope.
Get over it. But anyway. Then we can go to, let's talk about comics for Wonder Woman because she does have some good stories, not tied to Superman, but you know what? Let's talk about that run with the Charles Sewell run because we all know that was freaking awesome. And the thing about it is that here's the thing. With that relationship, they could have easily turned it into Wonder Woman as Superman's girlfriend like they did with Lois Lane. But guess what? They didn't. They easily made it so they're their own unique characters. They have their own struggles, and she even saved Superman a few times.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. The New 52 universe, right? At least they made her dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was great to see that that Wonder Woman got her own storybook, and she had a crossover book with Superman. And it was all epic, and the person who wrote it, Charles Sewell, made the character even more popular,
even more cool and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And he managed to do romance, but in a different way. So he did it in a way that's not corny, and I think that's why that worked. So then let's get to the solo Wonder Woman books. We had to mention Superman, Wonder Woman because we're us. Then you have, like, let's say, so Wonder Woman does have some good storylines. some really good ones, like The Circle, where the villains are a bunch of Amazons because they got a vision from an oracle that Diana will bring damnation upon Themyscira. So they actually try and kill Diana as a baby. So really cool stuff. Then you have the aftermath of Wonder Woman killing Maxwell Lord, which was a character assassination against Superman. But I mean, the DC is all about character assassinations. Then you also have, let's say, what's another good Wonder Woman storyline? I wouldn't say anything by Tom King. I would say probably so I talked about The Circle. There's Hikatea is a good one. So what Hikatea is, so Batman is pursuing this. So when the story starts off, Batman is pursuing this woman because she just killed a couple of criminals, and you know how Batman is about killing.
Yeah,
this woman comes to Wonder Woman and does the Hikatea vow, which basically means if you do the vow, Wonder Woman is obligated on her life to protect you and feed you and clothe you and all that stuff. Batman shows up and goes, "You have to give her to me. She's a murderer." The Wonder Woman would not because she's bound by the Hikatea, and then she beats the crap out of Batman, which I love because suck it, Wonder Bat. And
I love.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I was gonna say I love how you say "suck it, Wonder Bat" because,
Yes.
like, come on, like Wonder Bat isn't a thing, guys. I'm gonna put this out there. Wonder Bat is not a thing. If you're watching this,
It's a thing. It wasn't even a thing in that cartoon.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing in the cartoon. I don't know where these people get the idea of Wonder Bat is everything.
Because they only watch the cartoon and then they think that's it.
Yeah. And I converted from Wonder Bat to Super Wonder.
Well, because you guys were doing it just for fun because you know it screws with me.
Yeah, but I converged.
He converted as soon as he saw those numbers coming in that were pro Super Wonder.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that, actually, here's the thing. The thing about Wonder Woman is that depending on the writer or creative, they'll turn her into like they'll treat her like she's the relationship character. What I mean by that is like this way, Phil Jimenez, who for the most part has written some pretty dope Wonder Woman books. He said in an interview during the Batman v Superman thing, he goes, I know Wonder Woman is currently dating Superman, but you know, I kind of like her more with Batman because I think it's a better idea if she dates the bad boy. And I'm like, what? That's what it is. So you're going with the stereotypical thing for Wonder Woman. I see what you're going for.
Yeah, it's not a good look, though.
No, it's not a good look. It's a really stupid look. But the thing about it is that continuing on, it's like, so I'm going to flip through a Wonder Woman book that Britt and I actually went through on Legacy. It's written by Paul Dini, drawn by Alex Ross.
Yeah.
This is what the book looks like. So it's Wonder Woman basically going throughout the world and doing her like being an ambassador, a savior. It's basically looking at the different facets of Wonder Woman's life. Here's an image.
Wow.
Because if you want the context of that scene, let me do this. She threw like an oil drum at like a bunch of other oil drums, and then it exploded. And then we get this image. She's walking through the fire, and then she obviously saves people. And that's the thing. And this whole story is Wonder Woman trying to connect to humanity because she feels a little disconnected, and that kind of goes to like Infinite Crisis. And then we have Wonder Woman League of One. It's actually a Justice League story, but I call it a Wonder Woman story because she's the main one, where she fights the entire Justice League and then fights and kills a dragon. See, here's the image. And by the way, this is the art even in the interior of the book. There you go, right there. Wonder Woman fighting a freaking dragon.
This is what should be in a super Wonder Woman movie, fighting a dragon.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, the dragon blasts her with like fire, and then she just emerges.
Incredible.
That's the cool part. See, Wonder Woman has all these fantastic moments, all these fantastic storylines. It's just the problem is DC just doesn't want to do it. But so Taladia,
Yeah.
what do you think of like Wonder Woman as a character and such?
So I think Wonder Woman struggles a lot across all mediums. I
Mhm.
think whether it's movies, TVs, or video games. I think in terms of video games, because
Yeah.
as a video game guy,
Actually,
uh,
yeah, that's actually a fantastic transition. Let's talk about the Wonder Woman game. Continue on.
so as a video game guy, like she has struggled to have a video game in a long period. Only just recently, she's getting a solo video game, and I'm just like thinking, you've had over 2 decades to have a Wonder Woman video game, and you've never pushed in it. But now you're doing it, and you're doing it with Monolith Productions, which is, by the way, it's a great studio.
Yeah.
And funny thing is that this game is set in Themyscira, and I'm like thinking, oh yes, now this is going to be interesting. It's going to get people talking. It's a single player game. Now, what I feel what will be the struggle is, are they going to are they going to adaptations from the new 52? Are they going to adapt it from pre 52?
I think they'll adapt all sorts of stuff. The fact that it takes place on the island is actually a really good sign, because here's what here's what the island plot actually does.
Yeah,
because that allows you to showcase so much of her world to a large audience. And this is why I've said many times on the show, the Wonder Woman game can do to Wonder Woman what the 2017 version did. It can repair the damage from 1984 if they're careful. Now the question is, Taladia, in your opinion as the gaming guy, do you think Monolith will be able to pull it off?
Oh, if I'm being perfectly honest with you, it all depends on how they execute the video game, right? Because it's not one of those games that look, it's like Batman Arkham, right? Where Batman Arkham, you had a compelling story and it was written by Paul Dini. It's not like that in this. So if we don't even know who's writing the who's writing the video game, right?
Yeah, and we have information that maybe Sweet Baby Inc. So we're all like, oh no.
It's like Monka S. It's like, is Warner Brothers actually struggling here? So this is like what I'm saying is like Warner Brothers struggles a lot in video games as well when it comes down to Wonder Woman. Like they don't really know what they're doing. They have to go to a consultant to basically get the story really well done. And I'm just like, no, like please don't get, if you're gonna have a writer come on board, have someone like Scott Snyder or Paul Dini come on board and write the Wonder Woman game, right? They would write.
Even Paul Dini, because he wrote Arkham Asylum, which is pretty much the funny part about that. Arkham Asylum is again pretty much a showing Batman's world to so many different people.
But the thing is, I have this fear factor. This might not sell well. That's why I'm fear factoring that.
Okay, why?
Because people are going to say, "Oh, it's made by Sweet Baby Inc." Oh, and the game doesn't look good.
But it wasn't like that was like a headline. Sweet Baby Inc. worked on Wonder Woman.
But remember, Warner Brothers worked with Sweet Baby Inc. on Suicide Squad. Remember that, Jared?
Yeah, that's true.
And look what they did to Wonder Woman in Suicide Squad.
Well, she was the hero of that, so
even though she was the hero of that story, she got murked, right? That's the best way to put it. She got murked. So, and I'm trying to keep it PG here because I know.
Yeah. We know what you want to say. We don't know what you want to say. Wait. Message received, my good friend.
Yes. So I wonder how they're going to do this story and if it's going to sell well. And I also wonder, is it going to be well received? That's another thing too. Because yes, like in animation, before they did the Death of Superman storyline and everything, she was well received. But in video games terms, she has to have the same numbers as Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. That's what I feel that Wonder Woman game should be.
Mhm.
If it doesn't have those numbers up for sales, then Wonder Woman is struggling. It will be struggling financially. The game will struggle financially to stay up there in the top 10 charts, and it'll have the Suicide Squad situation where they basically stop doing content for the game.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you this, dude.
Yeah.
Let's transition to the third part of our podcast.
Yeah.
How would you, if you were given the reins for Wonder Woman, how would you handle the character?
Okay. Firstly, get rid of Steve Trevor. He's not going to be important to the storyline, right?
Man after my own heart.
Secondly, I would set it in modern times.
Yep.
Right? Thirdly, I would make sure that are we talking about video games or are we talking about movies?
All of it.
Okay, so if I was going to do a movie, I would basically set it in modern times, and I would bring in Cheetah. I would bring Cheetah and Giganta as the two big villains of the story. And guess who? Giganta, Cheetah, and
now
Dr. Psycho.
Okay, that works. I like that one.
And guess who's the guest appearance?
Does he have an S on his chest?
He has an S on his chest.
Yeah, I know what you're going for, dude. I know what you're going for.
And it's Superman. So you have Superman guest appearing in the story. And he helps out what am I saying? Supergirl. I meant to say Wonder Woman.
Don't turn into a Bruce Timm.
No, he helps out Wonder Woman, and basically it turns into the Throne of Atlantis kiss, basically at the end with them at night. So they're looking at the starry night and they have that feelings and everything, and then it's like New 52 basically. We're having a New 52 romance.
I like that a lot.
But the suit design, is a mixture of the New 52 and guess this, post-crisis Superman. So it's not going to be the Henry Cavill Superman suit. You have the red belt, you have the collar, you have the red thing on the arm, right? But it's basically a better version of Tyler Hoechlin's Superman suit.
Okay, I can see that.
But the cape is on the shoulders, like how new Superman movie is. Right? So that's the suit design for Superman. For Wonder Woman's design, straight up New 52. Straight up New 52.
I would add a cape though, because I kind of liked her wear the cape.
You like it with the cape, okay? I like it, okay. And I would also bring in the golden armor towards the end of the film.
That has to be at one point. Like it's like when all hope seems lost, she shows up with the golden armor with the wings and everything like that.
Yeah, and that gives her the power boost, right? And there's no Maxwell law saying life can be good and things can get better.
Because that was so dumb.
That was so dumb.
So, are you done?
Yeah. That's what I gotta say.
So me personally, in terms of games, I make it obviously single player. You can equip costumes from all the different eras. Linda Carter, Gal Gadot, pre-crisis, post-crisis, Golden Age, all of it. And I make it so the game has elements of player choice. So it's kind of like an RPG where you can romance who you want, and you can and other DC characters will show up, like Superman, like Batman. You can't the only character you can't romance is Batman. I'm making a decision on that. And then you make it so, again, a player choice. You can use the lasso, you can use the sword and shield if you want. And actually, they're doing this. They're putting in a fair amount of player choice into the Wonder Woman game, if the leaks are to be believed. And I'm like, that's the way to do it. Instead of having people argue about it, just say, no, you can do that if you want to.
So choices.
In terms of movies, I would probably... I would essentially do what 2017 did, but do it in the modern day. I agree. It's stupid to I get what they were going for, where she's like an immortal warrior, but you also that also limits who could show up in a Wonder Woman movie, because Superman could show up, Batman could show up. There's not like that just like narrows down who you could cross over. So there was that. Then, in terms of TV, I would do a Wonder Woman animated series. Do not have anyone associated with the DCAU associated with the show. They cannot touch it, because they demonstrated that they don't get Wonder Woman, and they have said it themselves. They consider her to be a one-note character. So of course I'm not gonna let them have a role. So, in terms of the comics is a trickier thing. First off, I put a writer on it that actually wants to write Wonder Woman, because Tom King did not want to write Wonder Woman. He was clear on that. And then in terms of, obviously, romances with Superman, Steve Trevor plays very little, if any, of a role. Let's see, what else? I would still, in terms of my character design for a costume design for Wonder Woman, I would go with the armor DCEU look with the cape, because again, when they did that in Rebirth and gave her a cape, I actually kind of dug that. I thought that was kind of cool. Sword and the shield when it's appropriate. Lasso, obviously, all the time with her bracelets. And I would also factor in, actually, Jid said this when we were talking about Wonder Woman on the show. He brought up, how about it's, you know, how like Superman has Action Comics that basically talks about his world, Batman has Detective. Do that for Wonder Woman, because they had Sensation Comics, and that was like her world book, where you can make that a Wonder Girl book, where you have all the different Wonder Girls. You have like the Amazons. You can like use that as the Wonder Woman's world book, and the Wonder Woman book is strictly about Diana. So that way you'll that way you do cover both parts, because Wonder Woman's world is also very fascinating and has like a ton of lore. I should know, we did a 3-hour podcast on it, but that's viewed over 500 times. Shout out. And yeah, in terms of like, in terms of everything else, what I would just do is like make sure to put creatives on the book that actually are competent and love the character. Because you know why? Here's the interesting part. So the Wonder Woman 1, you notice that a lot of the cool plot points was there, because Zack Snyder had a hand in it. Yes, I'm mentioning Zack Snyder. And he actually hand-selected the writer for Wonder Woman. So then you go to Wonder Woman 1984. Obviously, Zack is not involved. You have Patty and Jeff Johns co-writing. I'm sorry, Jeff Johns with the movies. Let me put it this way. With Jeff Johns, as much as I love his comics, he should not be touching the movies at all. Except for Stargirl, because Stargirl was pretty good. I would stay with that. But in terms of DC movies, no, he should not be. He should not have been involved in that. That's how he got like a lot of Justice League and all that stuff. That's it. But all in all, to conclude, I think the thing about Wonder Woman is that if it's not like she's a character that doesn't have potential and is a broken character. She is not. Wonder Woman is one of your most iconic characters, DC, and she is one of the best DC superheroes of all time. The potential is there, particularly since, by the way, sword and sorcery comics are big, so you could just market her that. But the potential is there for her. You just have to have the willingness. So, Taladia, your concluding thoughts on Wonder Woman?
Well, it's like you said, like they need to reassess things, and look at what worked and what didn't work. And what worked was her not with Steve Trevor, and the fact that they need to look at the New 52 and use that as a template going forward, right? And honestly, that's why I think in comics, even in movies as well, look at the Wonder Woman 1 movie and just use that as a template.
Yep.
And also, I also believe in video games, you gotta look at the Arkham Asylum video game and just base off that. So
you could say Zack Snyder's the blueprint?
Of course, Zack Snyder's the blueprint.
I had to say that. But yeah, so I think it's a good place to leave it. This was a fun episode. Taladio, how about you remind the good people at home what you got, where they can find you, and what you got coming out on your channel?
Okay, so you guys can follow me on Twitter at @TeladiaPlays_. And if you want to check me out on YouTube, it's at @TeladiaPlays. As for what I've got coming up on my YouTube channel, is that I've got My Adventure with Superman, live reactions with Jared. We only got Jared's only 2 episodes. It's only 2 episodes left. So
Good.
you've only got 2 episodes before we move over to Brave the Cape Crusader soon. So we've also got that, and then we've got Suicide Squad Killer Justice League soon. And we've also got on my channel, I'll be doing Marvel Rivals when I get a beta code. So I'll be doing a live stream on that as well. So, and Jared can hassle me as much as he wants, as long as the amount of times I fail as Punisher, he can hassle me live on stream. So that's how
So for me, obviously Super Wonder Legacy, Britt, Jid, and I are going to be doing a live episode, and we're going to be ranting about the DCAU. It's not going to be all ranting. We're going to talk about what we liked about the DCAU. It's just going to be a standard deep dive that we normally do. And then in terms of, let's see, what else? In terms of gaming, next week is going to be Arkham Knight. And then commentary, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to cover for that. Movie night. So again, I want to remind people that since we didn't cover Captain America last week, we'll briefly discuss Captain America: The First Avenger on CLD, and then we'll be covering G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra this week, and then next week it'll be the 2007 Transformers movie, the good one, and in terms of what else did I want to bring up? No, I guess that's it. So stay heroic. Remember, Lois Lane and Steve Trevor suck. Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod. So is the Max About for life. I'll see you later.